Sweet. All right. Again, another week closer. They're sort of, I don't know about you, but they're going quickly.
Oh, very fast, man. I think every every week that passes, I'm like, wait, we were just 12 weeks out. Now I think we're 7 or 6 or something. Like it's crazy. But luckily, I think progress is being made, so that's positive. But yeah, it's getting close.
How's this past week been? And what's been on the menu for you past week?
This past week was really good on the sports side, and I would say on the business side, just a lot more work, right? We're prioritizing new features. We're doing some filming as well this week, and then also trying to really find like product market fit, right? So, when you're getting a new product out there, you got to tell people what it is. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So has it been like elevated stress from the business side, and how you found that like switching into like the sports side, the running side?
I think it's been good because a lot of our sessions have been focused on kind of even something I shared today was the identity discipline stuff that we were talking about,
Hmm.
and also making
Hmm.
sure that we're showing up for who we need to be in those moments. Also, a lot of the exercises I've been doing on the app are more focused on like breathing through things. It's a lot of visualization, and I do get stuff out of the visualization, but I think I get more stuff out of the breath work right now because it makes me just one, I created space for that, and then two, just really kind of breathing through things. And also, if we're talking about identity and all this other stuff, understanding that this is the new normal. So how do I relax my nervous system and how do I breathe through things because this isn't going away. This is just something that I need to elevate to, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Nice.
yeah, but I
So
mean overall
what is
it's
it?
it's good. It's good.
Nice, sweet. Uh, I mean, from last session, was there anything that you took away that sort of nestled away in your thoughts and maybe came up at different points in the week, or yeah, what's been that followed up from last session?
I think right now things are just like compiling more so than I'm even thinking about the last session or whatever it may be. I'm like, okay, how do I keep applying all the different things you and I are talking about every day, right? And thinking about like those core attributes. What does that look like? How am I implementing and showing up with those attributes or developing those attributes? And I know we were talking about that last session, but then that also comes from the identity discipline, right? And then a lot of the other things come from the operating system, and like it's a whole wide range of things. And then this week I was writing a letter to Chardarius, so thinking about that alter ego and what can I take from a side of me that I thought wasn't as beneficial to me in this next version of who I want to become, and then kind of reigniting that passion and that drive and that fearlessness, um, even coming into this week, So I'm taking in a lot of different things from every session and just trying to keep the momentum and everything forward.
Let's go into that. I love the idea of the letter to Chardarius, and I thoroughly enjoyed writing it, reading it. Sorry, apologies. And I'm sure you must have enjoyed writing it, right?
Yeah, it was cool. I was like, I was smiling through it. I was like, oh yeah, it's time. Let's go, let's go. You know what I mean? It was like waking up a beast. It was like, yeah, let's go, let's go. So it was fun. I should probably do more of that too. Just that's what I'm trying to do more of. With Substack is just writing things out more too.
Mm. Well, I want to sort of explore that. What sort of came out of that conversation with Chardarius then?
I think it was like getting more in tune with even myself and thinking through these different components. Like, what do I want from Tridarius, right? That fearlessness, that, the ability to play uh, without hesitation, that those type things it helped me get more specific on what I pull from him more so than anything, right? Because if you're writing to someone, I think you have to be very direct with them. You have to be very thoughtful. And it was also like being kind to that person as well, saying, "Hey, like, yeah, you were this crazy guy and all that." And I think, one of my philosophies is have the imagination of a child and the wisdom of an adult. And so I shared that in the letter as well because I think he has that childlike state, but also I have a lot more wisdom now. So balancing the two is going to allow me to take things to the next level. Because I think that you can't be, a lot of times as we get older, we get more cautious, and you can't get cautious because, and I was reminding one of my friends this as well. I said, the things that got you here were the risk taking and the not playing it safe and all that. And so don't lose that piece of it. Just take more strategic, and I'm not even saying calculated, right? Because calculated may be a little bit more cautious, but those strategic chances,
Mm.
right? So when you
Mm.
see it, don't hesitate. Just do it because that is why you are here.
Mm. I like that. I mean, like taking those elements and putting the lens of Carmichael now over that, and just maybe directing that energy a little bit more constructively, I guess.
Exactly, exactly. And maybe having a why behind it. I think before I didn't have a why, I was
Mm.
just like, let's do it, right? But now it's like it has clear direction on where I want to go. And I even said this week, I'm like, man, I've never felt so passionate about something in my life where I'm willing to weather all storms to achieve. And I think that is the fun part of this next journey is trying to figure out the different puzzle pieces you have to put together to create the big picture, right? And realizing, oh, I don't have that puzzle piece right now, but it's coming, or you're gonna find it, right? And sometimes you do that with the puzzle, right? You're like, dang, the picture's almost there. Where's that piece? And then you find it, right? And so I think that's the way this journey is going to be as well.
Yeah, I think that is a good analogy because I think sometimes with that picture you're constantly building it, right? And it's that you need that piece that unlocks a cascade of like 10, 5, 10, 20 more pieces. And I think like those things sometimes we get too caught up in looking forward for those pieces when some of those pieces could be behind us. We've dropped them on the floor and left them behind, and we need to pick them up and plug them into this new picture that we're forming rather than them just coming and dominating. It's like, well, how can we actually take this piece of us and plug it in the most efficient and effective way? And I think stuff like that, conversations like that, will help you unpack those things. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you had that exercise and that time to do that.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool.
So you said that you're feeling so passionate then about, but about what? If you could really simplify that down to a few things, a sentence or a paragraph, whatever it is, what is it that you say you're feeling very passionate about at the moment?
Yeah, so I know we talked about living life in this creative player mode, and I even talked about identity discipline, and even being here in Kenya is that if you believe you can become that person, then you execute like that, right? And that passion. So for me, I'm passionate and excited about becoming this person, right? And in Eaton, I guess they would say a champion, right? But for me, it's this high performance endurance athlete and CEO, hopefully changing the face of healthcare and running at an extremely high level. So that's what I'm focused on at the moment.
Nice, awesome. Well, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad with that passion's coming through. That's great to hear. I want to, before moving forward into the session, I just want to give you a time to, I guess, steer it if you wish. Like, was there anything specifically that you wanted to bring today to talk about? If not, we can. I've got things we can go through. There was the natural flow that we were following on from last week, but I just want to make sure we take our head up above water for a second and look around.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say even right now, I think I'm managing pressure well. And I think it's just taking a lot of moments of pause and just saying and doing some of the breathing exercises or just being reflective, reminding myself this is part of the journey, all of those things because sometimes it does feel like, man, you have so much on at the moment, but it's just building your threshold, which is also kind of the theme of the training block as well, is we're constantly focused on like the lactate testing to make sure we're increasing like our threshold and running at threshold. And so on the business side and life side in general, it's just constantly raising that threshold. So I believe, I guess if we had to pick a theme, it would be like managing pressure. But I feel like I have a good frame of mind around that as well, just because I'm finding that common theme throughout running business, life in general. So yeah.
So managing pressure, but you feel at the moment you're navigating that quite well. So maybe not necessarily. Do you want to talk about that? Talk about on that, or we don't have to. There's obviously I have got a flow from last week, as I say. But if you want to, we can take a
No,
detour.
I mean that's just that's the main thing was thinking about, I guess right now, but I kind of like when you're steering the directions because that'll probably surface at some point, and then we kind of just dive into something.
Okay, amazing. All right. Well, it's nice to know what's on your brain. I always like that. It's a bit of an insight. So we're looking at managing pressure. I mean, you said that it's been a week where the sort of business side has kicked up and been quite a lot. I guess there's been more things pulling you in different directions. So I can imagine your focus has also been pulled in different directions, and as a result, stress has increased, and allocation of stress has had to be placed more in the business side, I presume, as a result, right? So. The balancing isn't always 50-50. We know that. So it sounds like the balancing's been shifting a little bit. So, I mean, last week we explored, again, we're building this image of this identity up. And it's great that you're becoming more like getting this passion built around fulfilling it. So I guess the job of today is to try and to, I guess, tap back into that, pick up where we were last week. And I guess that direction, let's make it razor sharp. So we're incredibly clear on that direction, and we have an awareness and an ability to be able to have those reflective moments in the day to make sure that we are shifting between the correct identities or the different attributes that need to be maybe increased in certain environments of that identity. So, for example, maybe charisma needs to be increased when we jump on a call, but when we go into a session, charisma is not as much. That isn't as important. But maybe sort of like a could be a mindset of like grit and determination. That's something that needs to really come out in that environment. So yeah, we've got this identity, but this identity is going to obviously have different moments where it has different attributes that are at the forefront. So I mean, we spoke about it was Dan Martell that was sort of the big character from last week. I'm curious, like, how did you see Dan Martell or some of the other characters? We had Tiger Woods, didn't we? Course, we had a few others, I think. We had Ben Greenfield,
Yeah,
Dan
Vancouver.
Martell, Lametta Ball, Rich Roll, like all these people. So, like, how did we see them show up in your actions this past week?
I think Dan Martell, because I was just allocating so many different things to kind of move things forward, for sure, right? And he believes in like the buy back your time. So that was how I think I showed up with some of his attributes there. I would say Tiger Woods with his level of focus, because there's a lot of different things coming in, but we really nailed this track session last week, I believe Thursday. So that was good as well. If I had to do Rich Roll, I think Rich Roll, at least from what I see, he does a very good job of staying calm, right? He has a very calm nature in how he talks and how he kind of operates, at least in his podcast. And so I think I put from some of that there. Ben Greenfield with the biohacking. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm using all this data. I'm trying to now cross-reference a lot of data that we're pulling from the Ultra Human Ring and Garmin data. So trying to just figure out what's going on there. But on the biohacking side, I've been listening to podcasts and the normal thing, but I haven't been going as deep as I wanted at least this past week. But I am seeing a lot more functionality in the Ultra Human Ring, so I'm excited about that and exploring over that over probably the next 10 days or so.
Nice. Was there like specific moments that you can think about across this week where you had to take a moment to, I guess, assume, because we got you to do the stance, right? Remember when we got you to actually stand up and assume that stance of that
Yeah,
person, this identity? Was there moments last
yeah,
week
yeah.
where you had to sort of feel yourself get into that position?
Honestly, it was before that track session, right? Because we were filming that one as well, so we had to, I'm thinking about, all right, what am I saying, and like, what do I want the audience to get from this, and then also coordinating some of that, but also like actually nailing the session as well, right? So showing up and kind of taking that, assuming that position to then move into that new space, and then after the session, moving out of that space to kind of reflect on that. I got some good feedback from my coach as well. So yeah, I think that was like a big moment that I had to recall. And then also coordinating everything as well, because we had a videographer from Nairobi come to Eton. So it was just a lot of coordination pretty much every single day, from eating to training to work to, because, we have new functionality in regards to the actual aiding, like company, and also prioritization. So also thinking through, okay, what's gotten done, what needs to be prioritized next, where sales coming from, all of that type of stuff, right? And like when are sales coming in, how does this onboarding flow go? Just a lot of different things, right? So I had to show up. Now that I'm thinking about it and saying it, I had to show up like that every day, past week or so.
Nice. And it was easy to like switch between those. Was there moments where maybe there's a little bit of lag, or yeah, how was it switching between that identity?
It was pretty easy. I think mainly because of our sessions, I've been more aware of like, okay, switch this here, switch that there. Even just now, I was doing. I had a session with my coach. I was trying to be fully present on that, and then like get as much as we could from that session. Come back, decompress, eat, all that type of stuff, and then go into, okay, well, it's email time. All right, it's time to prioritize the work stuff, right? What are we going to do? What are we talking about? Making sure different systems are in place, automation, etc., right? And then coming out of that, doing some content stuff, and now chatting with you. And after this, I'll go train again. But I'm getting more used to that. I would say maybe last week because it was just so much stuff going on. At moments, I did feel like, oh man, like it's a bit of pressure. But I think that kind of calmed down just because I'm like, come on, man, it's pretty strategic. And I just have a lot of people too that I can trust around. So that helps.
Nice, awesome. So systems are in place.
They're in place and growing and developing for sure. I wouldn't say they're perfect yet, but they will get there.
Okay, well let's add to the system, shall we? That's what we're here for, right? So, I mean, from my side, like when it comes to identity, first of all, we have to build up. I guess first of all, recognize what we want to see a change. Like we want to see something that we're clearly wanting to drive towards. And over the course of the past few sessions, we've done that. We've created a clear image, and I think, like, again, stop me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like we have got that image quite clear. This high performing athlete CEO. We know their attributes, we know their values, we know the way they look, we know the way they move, we know which sources of inspiration that sort of inform the way that they work. So that it's incredibly clear how that looks now, which is great. The problem is, I guess, day to day. Things can occur where we can either go one or two ways. We can either get way too in a hole and we're not looking around, taking in what's around us, and we're just going down blindly down one road. Or the other side is that we're just not able to switch into that road at all. Like we're struggling to like be present and move with intention. So those two rows are incredibly challenging. those two ways, like there's benefits and cons for both, right? Without a shadow of a doubt, we want to be fully immersed, but if we're too immersed, then that's not necessarily the best thing, because we need to have the awareness to know when to switch. I think I'd liken it almost to in a marathon. You need to be incredibly like in the zone, like in knowing what you're doing, and very sort of present, focusing on like executing your form and executing your pace right. But you also need to be also very aware as well of your surroundings and things that are like making sure we're navigating the course appropriately. If there's people up ahead where they are, like well, there's things that we need to have a balance of focus, right?
Definitely.
So when we look at that in terms of everyday life, that's all displays in a model we call choice point, where throughout the day we have numerous choices, right? All these different points of the day, we're presented with an option of, to simplify it, going left or to go right. Yeah, we've got these two options. Do we go this way or this way? Forks in the road, if you will. And now, when we look at our lives, it's almost. Are you a Marvel fan out of interest?
No, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I remember a couple like Marvel movies or something. But like I don't really watch
That
TV or movies.
No worries at all. We'll go for a different analogy to explain it. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But basically, like in this context, we have choices that we make each day. You know when like they say about like Back to the Future, is like if you go back and you tread on a butterfly, how that could completely change the what happened to you in present day. It's like that is a choice point moment, I guess, in this scenario. So every day we have a choice of
Yeah,
whether we
yeah.
react this way or we react that way, right? Um,
It's crazy because me and my coach were talking about this because there was like some movie or something that it's like the person that gets on the train that day and then the person that doesn't.
okay.
Like for example, like the door shuts on the person and then they don't make it, or the door shutting and they do make it, right? And those are two different outcomes
Mm,
of life. And so similar to
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Exactly like that, right? But in this scenario, it's like what the actions that we choose. So I guess you could have, in that scenario, I guess someone could have left earlier and made the train versus not making the train, and that leads them down a different path. But choice point is we're on this journey of life, and there's certain points, almost like nodes, where we decide to split off or stay on the same road that we're going on. Now, there's no one necessarily says the road we're on is the right road. We may need to take a detour to get round and back to where we want to go. But we we can operate through life quite mindlessly at times without an awareness of those choice points, meaning that when we're floating through life we just go with whatever way our mood dictates in that moment, which in of itself, sometimes the mood will dictate you go the right way, and other times it may not. Look, for example, at cravings, right? It's like, okay, I want to eat a bar of chocolate and I want to stuff my face. It's like my mood is dictating I want to eat that, so I'm going to do it. But like, that's maybe not necessarily the right reaction if you're trying to, like, say, for example, lose weight to make for to make weight for a competition, for example. So like, there's different points where we have a choice to make. And now some people will say, well, just be disciplined and you've just got to choose the right choice. You just got to make sure you like disciplined to make the right action. The problem with that argument is, how do you know which one's always the right choice? The right choice can differ in different situations. So, for example, if it's you wake up, you're absolutely shattered, and in your training block you've got to go do a long run, but you really don't feel like it, like your muscles are really hurting. I mean, discipline would tell us you got to get up and go do that no matter what, and that would be the choice that you make in that instance if we're just wired off of discipline. However, the other side of it is, like in this, again, train closing doors, say we decide to get up and we go to that session and we end up pushing too hard, we get injured, and then we can't, our marathon prep's gone and we don't even get to race day. Well, was that choice the right choice in the end? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say yes or no, it wasn't. Like, it's very context dependent, right? If the person's happy to make that choice knowing the potential repercussions, then yes, that's fair enough. So we know that we can't necessarily have our choices dictated by things so simple as just like discipline about like this is or right or wrong. We need our choice points to be anchored to something a little bit deeper, something that is a little bit longer lasting than Valencia Marathon. Valencia Marathon is but a date, right? Like it's coming around. We know it's occurring. It's going to be hopefully like 2 hours 30.
Yes,
Like
yes,
that
yes,
amount of time.
yes.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, exactly,
like, but we
exactly.
can't have. It's going to inform our choices, but it can't dictate our choices entirely because life will go on past Valencia. Things will occur. Like we can't have that as the only thing that's informing our choice. What we need is something deeper that's going to be tying us towards, that's going to be a stronger motivator and something that's also going to guide us more directly. Because, say, for example, going back to that scenario of, I feel shattered. But I need to do the training session. Well, if we're like 10 weeks out, then maybe yeah, we probably do need to just go along and see what we can do. But say you're in taper week, is that the move that what like 10 weeks out of going to train session might have been that is a move towards the goal still. In taper week, that move might be a move away because you're actually like
Hurting yourself.
affecting your recovery. You
Yeah.
exactly right. So what I'm trying to get across is one choice isn't always good or always bad, always right or always wrong. It's very contextual and circumstantial. So we need to make sure that we're being anchored and driven by something that's a little bit more powerful and always has a view of what the goal is, right? So in this instance, what I like to do before we get into the, again, I've just monologued crazy there. So before going further, does that make sense as a premise?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Can you see choice points like just analyzing last week?
Yeah. I mean, probably every day before I'm gonna go to a long run, right? Or I mean, not a long run, the evening run. Or if I need to maybe do one more thing for work, like is it the right thing to send that email now, or can it wait till the next day? I'm a bit more thoughtful, or whatever it may be. I mean, I think we have those things pretty much every day. You know what I mean?
It, exactly. Like there's countless choices that we make. But when we look at it as an identity thing, is we want to make sure that we're all those decisions that we're making are congruent or in line with the identity that we're trying to uphold. So we've got it abundantly clear on what the identity is, but now we need to go down to the minutiae and look at what that identity looks like when it's actually playing out in action in the day, and how that can be either when these choice how that can be challenged by certain choice points where we either move towards that identity or we move away from it. And in order to move away or just decide whether be able to correctly decide whether we're moving away or towards, we need to know have a clear vision of what that identity is anyway and what it stands for. And the longest lasting thing to actually retie that to is values, basically. So I got you a couple of sessions ago to talk about this identity. We labeled out the identity adjectives, so descriptors of what that identity looks like, and we also like rated what for you the highest values were. Now, values are almost like our moral compass. They're our guide. They're the thing that if someone says that we don't if we went to someone and had an interaction and then after they filled out a survey and they had to fill out about like what values do you think this person held, and they said, for example, you said transparency was a really important one for you, and they said, well, I don't think they were very transparent, that would you wouldn't feel great about that, right? There'd be a certain reaction to it. Well, like, no, actually, I do. I am quite transparent. What did I do? You'd be analyzing. What did I say to them that made me come across that way, right?
100%.
So what we want to do is we want to get clear on if we imagine we've got the choice point here, and we can go away or we can go towards our identity or our goal, whatever we want to call it. Like it's a lot deeper than just a choice point towards running a 2 hour 30 marathon in Valencia. It's a choice point of like, am I living in line as a high performing athlete CEO, right? That's what we're trying to do. So we need to know what this thing is on the top that we're always trying to go to, almost like the North Star. What is that thing that we're trying to guide to? Because when we get to that choice point and that's presented in the day, we need the awareness that we're at a choice point, first of all. Then we need to look at the choices that we have, and then we need to know which one actually correlates with the right thing. If that does that make sense?
100%. I was talking about this the other day as well because it's just like how you build businesses and like I said this, the most important part of life is living aligned to your values. So if you win the game of life, but you have to go outside of your values, you actually lost, right? So it's about saying, how do I stay true to my values and actually win, right? Like that is the win, is staying true to your values so people see that the things you say and the things you do are in line, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's one of the so cognitive dissonance is the like sort of when we're not acting in line with our perception of self. So when our actions that we do not correlate with who we believe ourselves to be, that creates dissonance cognitively, which leads people to feel quite anxious, quite like overwhelmed, quite like worried. So we want to make sure that everything we're doing, like you say, like you know when people say, I want to make money, but I don't want to like compromise my morals for it. It's like it's
Exactly.
that type of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
we we want to have that quite clear. So what I want to do first of all is I want to almost create like a one line statement, um, a values driven statement that we can anchor to, something that's going to be like our guiding light, our north star almost. So to do that, I'm going to read back the values that we said the other week. And look, these aren't set in stone. You can add, change, remove, like whatever you want to do. And I want to try and think of like a statement of like, this is a declaration of Carmichael. Like, I know we've said that the identity we want is to be a high performing athlete CEO. That's great. But to me, as a title, that doesn't tie to any values. That has no, I know obviously we've worked on tying to values, but it isn't as clear cut, right? So the values you had were, I don't know if you've got them down in front of you. If not, I can read them out.
Yeah, I'm actually writing something now.
Great. That's okay. Take all the time you need, mate.
Okay, this is a lot of words, um, but I said I would take a strategic approach in pushing human performance while creating transparency around health that shifts the trust of the world and empowers them to push their own limits.
Wow.
Okay,
You just come up with that straight away.
yeah, just now I was just looking at the words, and I was like, all right, I think that works. Is that okay?
Wow. You tell me. That's not for
I
me.
like that. I like that.
That's you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Read it
because I
back to me
think
again.
honestly, that's what I'm anchoring to. Because like we said, like we want to see what's at the end of human potential and all that. The biohacking is actually not just for myself, but to translate to the world, so they can take ownership over their own health as well. That's why like the philosophies and things that I'm learning, I'm trying to relay that to the world to empower them. And then we talked about being precise. We talked about being relentless. We talked about pushing limits, performance, all that, right? So I said I will take a strategic approach in pushing human performance while creating transparency around health that shifts the trust of the world and empowers them to push their own limits. I think I like that.
Yeah. How's that feel?
But I might say I might take a strategic and relentless approach because I do like that word relentless. I'm not gonna.
Well, Relentless was the one we boiled it all down to, didn't we? So yeah,
Yeah,
let's.
exactly. That's why I'm like that has to be in there, you know.
That's great. I absolutely love that. So how's that feel reading that back? Like sitting with that for a sec, just for a second, like sit with that.
No, it's good. It's good. And I think this is the kind of stuff that I'm rooting myself to even now on why I do any of this, right? Um, and then going back to the identity, I'm like, if you feel like you can become this person, you're willing to do the work, but you also do have to have a mission to do it, right? And I was sitting in a Starbucks when I first quit my job at 23, and I said, I actually sat down and wrote a mission statement. At that time, I said, all right, what do I want to do? And I said, I want to give the world access to the tools and resources they need to bring all their dreams and goals into fruition, right? So now coming back to this, I don't know, 10 years later, right? Is like, okay, what is that new mission? And constantly refining that now and thinking about that. I think now like these exercises are great because it's like, what is that mission? What are those attributes? How are you showing up? And how do you move through all these different phases within that operating system, you know? So I feel good about this.
Love it. That's brilliant. Honestly, I think you spent so much time using ChatGPT that like you've got the same response rate.
No. Honestly, it's maybe you know what? A lot of people do say Chat GPT makes you more mindless, but it actually I think makes you it allows me to at least clarify my thoughts with like more intentionality because it gives you clarity
Yeah.
if you're talking to it a lot, if you're talking to it a lot. So then you can because you're obsessing over all these things constantly, you're like, I know exactly how I would like to say this, or like your thoughts are so clear, you can easily define how you feel, or you know, even I mean, self-awareness, right? Like you ask it your gaps, and you're like, "Yep, it's pretty accurate," you know.
Honestly, absolutely amazing. I think that's great. Okay, cool. Well, that was. I normally anticipate that to take a little bit longer, but that doesn't matter. We managed to get there so quickly. What I want you to do is like let's keep that sort of to mind. I want to have that like almost like that is the slogan, right? That's the slogan for you at the moment. Like I know we've obviously got the high performing athlete CEO, that's like sort of the external slogan. This is sort of like the internal deep slogan that's powering all of that. And just sit with it, see how it feels across this week. But let's take it into the context of choice points, shall we? um, Choice point in of itself, as I say, it's a very very simple framework. But like with anything, simple frameworks need the right input to make sure that they're operating properly. And the input here is making sure that that value statement is something that really resonates and does drive you towards the correct thing. It's like, for example, when people start their fitness journey, if they set a goal that isn't going to doesn't have the legs, then naturally their journey is going to come to a preemptive ending anyway. It's going to end quite early. So we want to make sure that that's the thing that's really driving us. What I would like to do is when we think about choice point, it's nice to have this visual in our mind of as we go through life. Okay, am I at a choice point right now? Is it when these things occur, we want the self awareness to know, all right, this is a choice point. Because if we can clock that we're at a choice point, then we can tie it to this values driven statement and then hopefully make a better, more informed choice of which way we're going, either towards or away from our goal or our desired actions that we try to try to act in line with. But what we can do is we can help ourselves out a little bit, and we can almost plan for those scenarios or try and look forward to what those scenarios could be. So, I mean, just now, like, just have a little bit of a think over maybe using the past few weeks as an example, but like next week, what are choice points that you think that you could face that would give you a scenario we have to choose to act in line with these values or away.
I need to think. The good thing right now is I'm in a pretty isolated atmosphere, right? So it's almost like you have nothing else to do but focus, right? So the good thing is like most things are aligned for extreme output. You know what I mean? Um, but I mean there are times where it's like I mean even right now like if I have to edit something or define something for the product roadmap, I think those things are sometimes a bit harder, especially when you're, you know, I think last week we hit almost 120K plus strength and all that. So when you're fatigued, I think there's going to be a lot of choice point moments under fatigue, right? And luckily I'm
Mm-hmm.
using lion's mane and ginkgo biloba, rhodiola, all this type of stuff. I think works, but I think it does allow me to have that cognitive endurance, you know, we talked about. But I think during those moments of fatigue, a lot of those choice points will come up. but I do have to align myself to this mission and that identity. And I've been trying to do like a pretty good job of that. Even even on runs today. I mean, we're running at altitude, we're running up hills. There's a hill I did not want to get up today. And I was just like fighting. I mean, my form was off and everything, but I was like fighting up the hill. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, hey man, if you want to become a high performance endurance athlete, you do need to get used to more pain and be a bit more resilient in these runs, just in general, because it's not that feeling is not going to go away. I just need to get more comfortable with it. Those are a few choice point moments that'll continue to happen over the next training block and also with the business as well, you know? Like, I mean, there's times
Mm,
I don't want to
mm.
do a call, for example, right? Or I don't want to do outbound or this or that, but those things are a necessity.
Mm. I think it like you say, but under fatigue, under stress, our brain is not necessarily going to operate as well as it can from a sort of relaxed state. Obviously, don't get me wrong. Some people need a certain amount of stress to be able to operate, but we're talking about stress in excess or sort of tiredness and fatigue in excess, which is what happens in a marathon, right? So we want to make sure that we have a like I guess an awareness of what those are ahead of time. So maybe it is over this next week taking a moment to think, well, what are those choice points? What am I seeing that's coming up? And that can either be a choice point of I can go left or right, or the choice point can be a bit more fixated around thoughts. So I'm having these certain thoughts in my head. So, for example, like there's the choice of running up that hill or not running up the hill. But what predates the choice of running up that hill or not running up that hill is the thought of I don't want to do this. I'm not. I don't feel like I can do it. I don't feel my legs are tired. I'm not able to do it. Like all those are the things that predate that. So that in of itself is a choice point. The thoughts that we're, I guess, in this scenario informing the way in our actions that follow subsequently follow the fault that occurs. So we're almost getting back down to the root of it as opposed to dealing with just what the outward expression that people see or happens as a resultant effect. So yeah, it's good to also log what those thoughts are as well.
It yeah, I think the thoughts I'm getting much better at though, right? Just because I mean, look, these sessions are helping a lot because even something I even said to my coach today this week was the the confidence needs to be bigger than the challenge. So those like these small phrases that you and I are talking about, like those are helping me a lot, right? Like even into the session today, he's just like, oh man, this is gonna be tough, right? But I was like, no, like you got this. It's gonna be, you know, you can hit this, right? And it's just like thinking the confidence needs to be bigger than the challenge, and kind of running like that too, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great to know that that language is trickling into your own language, which is
Yeah,
great.
no, it is. I'm telling you, like this
So
is it's crazy.
So I guess the other thing that I just want to look at quickly before we wrap up is that with this choice point, yes, there is the choice point itself, and we've got the road either, let's say, towards or away from what we want to do, but what like that values driven statement. But as we're going down that road, like we need to know what sort of thoughts and what sort of behaviors are are sort of familiar for those roads. So, for example, when I say that, I mean understanding going down or going away to my goal, what going towards my goal of my goal behavior, what that actually looks like. What do I start doing? What do I start saying to myself? How do I start acting? When I'm in a typical sense, starting to go away from that goal identity in this case, what am I telling myself? How am I acting? What am I starting to do? Does it mean that I start to procrastinate a little bit? Do I start to have certain thoughts that flood around my head? Do certain emotions start to stir up? The reason why is because sometimes we go to a choice point and we start going down a path, but we think it's the right path. We think it's the path that's taken us in the right direction. But maybe we're just not aware that, like, we're not tuned into the fact that those thoughts and those emotions and the things that are going through your head are actually going to be taking you away. So rather than like getting to the end of the path and then realizing that, oh crap, I'm now all the way over here, it's like, well, what were the things that led me down that path in the first place? The choice point was the activating event, and then the thoughts and the behaviors and the emotions and all that, they were the things that started to allow me to trickle down that path. And it's not about necessarily, and I want to make this abundantly clear, it's not about getting to a choice point and every single time making the right choice. Understanding that first of all you're at the choice point and having awareness of when you are maybe going down the road that isn't necessarily in line with the goal behavior here, or the goal identity. Because if we have an awareness of those things, then we can then turn back down the road. Or once we get to the end of that, we just divert back on track. It's the same with a sat nav, right? There's more than one way to get to our destination. It doesn't have to be the straight road. So we don't, when we think about all or nothing behavior, people that are very perfectionist and all or nothing, if they start acting out of line with their identity, it's easy for them to just continue to make bad choices, or wrong choices, whatever you want to say. But what we want them to do is we want them to be able to be okay with making one wrong choice, and then I can get back on track. It's not over. I'm okay to get back on track. The choice point isn't you make the choice and it's over. It's, okay, I made one choice, but let's put it into the great scheme of things. Like we just spoke about earlier, there are thousands of choices that we make every single day. So one choice, the wrong choice, let's say, is minuscule. Is so micro in comparison to the greater picture of the day.
100%, 100%. And I think that also goes back to just that 2% better, right? It's like, it's a constant, like, back to source, right? Like, okay, I messed up there, but how can I get a little bit better? I messed up there, cool. How can I get a little bit better, right? It's okay. Like, mistakes are happening, progress, not perfection.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think I do love the way that you articulate the 2% mindset, because I think I think 2% people just think about its progress in terms of a unified sense. It's like it's not
Yeah.
progress in
No,
a
no, no.
unified sense. It
Yeah, no.
it can be
It's just constantly
off
bringing you
course
back to
and then back
source.
on course.
Exactly. It's that
Yeah,
constant realignment. It's just something to have a foundation of, right? Or like a North Star too, where it's like, okay, I'm off course, cool, let's bring it back. Because I talked to one of my friends and he's always like perfection, perfection. Like perfectionists, they don't understand. I say they don't understand is if it's all or nothing, typically you get nothing done, so it's actually counterproductive to your perfectionism. You're actually doing nothing. So it's the constant progress and pushing that really helps you move forward.
but maybe beyond the scope of today's call, and also like it's not something that you necessarily have like a limiting pattern for, which is the perfectionism in and of itself. Like you tend to navigate that quite well. But perfectionism is interesting. Just 'cause I get excited about it, I can't find it quite interesting. Like perfectionism in of itself is not inherently bad, right? But what a lot of people have is they have perfectionist. So perfectionist strivings is the ability to strive for perfection. Great, like best pushing themselves to be the best person they can. There's no harm in that. That's fine. The problem comes with the perfectionist, what they call perfectionist concerns. And if you're high in perfectionist strivings and high in perfectionist concerns, that means that's when we get that maladaptive version of perfectionism where like it has to be perfect, otherwise X will happen. It's a fear-based perfectionism. It's a concern, a worry, it's a stress about like if I don't do this, then I like it's the end of the world or it's not good enough. So perfectionist strivings, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just if you've got high amounts of perfectionist concerns, then that's when we start to see the struggle. We see the best balance is high perfectionist strivings, low perfectionist concerns. That's where we see the best athletes in any high performers, the best way that they perform, because they're not shackled by the self-deprecation of the perfectionist concerns.
Exactly. 100%.
Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent.
No, I like it. I like it. I like it. Because I think that's kind of what I mean,
Awesome.
I'm striving for. I mean, we're trying to get as analytical as possible with blood testing and heart rate zones and recovery techniques and sleep and all this type of stuff. It's like, yeah, like even if we mess up, it's not limiting us, right? But we do want to try to get as close as possible. That's
Exactly. Awesome. So how is the plan going on the app for you at the moment? Like, and obviously I added some stages. I'm gonna obviously put some sessions on from suggestion from today. I've created a new session literally just for you. It's about it was
nice.
inspired by the dash. I love it. It's inspired by the dashboard idea of like flicking between identities. It's like
Yes.
selecting avatars and being able to step into the right avatar. So it's like it's a focus based imagery for helping people to between in the day in that moment step into the avatar or the Madden character
Yes.
that they need to be to execute or navigate the path ahead.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I am liking them. I just I'm trying to get through them as I kind of see fit on different days, right? Because I think I do, hopefully you can tell this too, like from our sessions, I do a lot of reflecting on the sessions as well, right? So it's like I've been balancing that and also doing the sessions on the app. So you know what I mean? But I love the session, like I'm loving the sessions on the app.
Awesome. Well, what I'll do is I'll add a couple more, but look, I just because I'm conscious if I keep adding loads, then there's going to be way too much, and you're going to be
Yeah,
overwhelmed.
yeah.
So let me. Whereabouts are you right? Where are you right now? How
I
much
think
do
I
you want me
did
to add, or do you want me to amend it as well?
maybe maybe just I don't know if you can add some to that same stage and then I can just keep going through it. That'll work perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
I
if you
can
just add a few
amend a
more
couple on
if
some of that stage.
yeah, or if you just add a few more on a new stage, just don't delete the previous stages because like even today, before I went into doing some work, I sat there today and I was doing the exercise. So I'm doing them like in different moments. Like tonight, I'll probably do another one. So I might not do one every single day. I might do two in a day. I might do one day. So I'm kind of bouncing around like that at the moment.
That's fine. There's certain ones that like I put in for like this week. So I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
When I add them, then you won't get to them until maybe like next week, and it's like there's no point doing it now because
Yeah,
we're. So for example, there was a choice point lesson that I put
I
in,
did.
but because it was at probably it's probably because it was at the end of your next stage and you haven't got to that bit, which is fine. So I probably need
Okay.
to like that for example, like I need to amend that because it'll be out of date in terms of what we're talking about and what we're working
Yeah,
on.
but
So yeah, I
it could
won't.
reinforce the stuff we're doing now. So I think it's okay. It's still good to go through some of those
Good.
exercises, you
All
know?
right.
So yeah, yeah.
Let's run like that. Let's run with it like that then. Let's do that. Yeah, always good to consolidate and solidify knowledge.
Definitely, definitely. Because I think you have to practice as well, right? So even if it's in 2 weeks to go back to them and be like, ah, yeah, I remember a choice point. It's because I remember last session we were talking about choice points. So when you brought it up this one, I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. I like this.
Yeah, sweet, sweet, awesome. All right, was there any questions you had for me or anything else you wanted to discuss like today before we sort of finish up?
No, man. These are extremely helpful. As you see, man, I'm taking a lot from them, trying to keep taking more from them, as we build up. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Well, thank you as always. Really, really enjoy them.
Definitely. Thank you, man.